Hi everyone, welcome to Awesome Crafter. I'm Lisa and today I'm going to be showing you how we're going to use ammonium chloride and a heat gun to give a wood burning effect on our projects. The project I've already done is this cute little Easter tray, and today I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. For this project, what we're going to need is obviously a wooden tray, a wooden board. The board I'm using is a bamboo one. The board has to be untreated and unwaxed for the project to work. We're also going to be using ammonium chloride, some food thicket. I've got a couple of different size measuring spoons. I've got a bowl that I'm going to mix it in and half a cup of water and a paintbrush. We're also going to need a standard green mat, some permanent vinyl to make the stencil, transfer tape, ruler, scissors, a burnishing tool, a weeding tool, and we also need a machine that's going to cut an SVG file. So for this project I'm using my Cricut maker. We're also going to need obviously a heat gun, which I will show you later on when we get to that point. First of all, we need to design the image that we're going to use on our project over in Design Space, so we're going to get on with that first. Now we're in Design Space, we need to click on upload and we need to upload the design that we're going to use. Then we're going to click on upload image and browse. And as you can see here, I've got an Easter tray bundle which I purchased from Design Bundles, and I'm going to be using one of the designs from there. I'm going to choose the Easter tray bundle number 2 and I'm going to select the SVG file and I'm going to click open. There I can see the design that I'm going to use and that's the correct one, so I'm going to click upload. Now we can see that that's appeared in the recent uploads. So now I'm just going to click on that, and as you can see it's put a green border around it, and I'm going to click add to canvas. Now that's on our canvas, we need to size it to make sure that it's going to fit on our board. So first things first, we need to measure the size of the board we've got. So I'm just going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure my board, and I don't want it to go over the handle part, I want it to stop before there. So I've got just over 9.5 inches wide by a maximum of 9 inches high. Now we can go back into Design Space and alter our measurements to make sure that our design is going to fit perfectly. So I'm going to pop along to up here to the size bar at the top, and I'm going to change the width to 9 and click the tab key, and as you can see it's changed it in proportion and made it just under 6 inches high. That's actually fine because I don't want it to fill my board too much. Now we've got our design, we now need to add the names of the children across the bottom. So we're going to click on text and we're going to start typing in the names of the children. Like so. Oh, well, make space. Like that. As you can see, the font up here is defaulted to Cricut Sans, but I don't wish to use that one. So I'm going to click on the little triangle, and that's going to allow me now to select a font that I've already purchased. So I'm going to click on System, and the font I'm going to use is Timberly Script. This is a font that I've previously bought from Design Bundles, and there you can see that's the font. So if we click on that, that's going to alter the font across the bottom of all my names. As you can see, the spacing between them is quite wide, even when we're going to shrink it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Advanced, and I'm going to ungroup all the letters, and that is going to allow me to shift over all the names to be a bit closer. So I'm going to do Ben first. I'm going to click on Ben, and I'm going to click Attach, and that's going to attach all of Ben's name, and that will allow me to move it a little bit closer. Then I can do the same with J, and we can click on attach and we can move that in a little bit as well. We can move the and sign, and again I'm going to select Max, click on attach, and that will allow me to move Max up to, and that's just made the spacing a little bit more pleasing. Now I'm happy with that, I'm just going to select all of those now and click attach, and then that's going to allow me now to move that into position. So we're going to pop it there, and we're going to use the little sizing arrows in the corner, and we're just going to shrink it down so that it fits nicely across the bottom of our board, like so. We don't need it to be too small because we do actually want to see the names. And there we go, I think that looks fine. Now what we need to do is we need to now select the whole design. So we're going to click up here on select all, and as you can see now it's popped a box all the way around the edge. That's selected the whole design, and what we're going to do now is we're going to click weld, and that's going to weld it all together to make it all one layer and attach all the design together. Now that that's been welded, we're going to click on make it, and as we can see our design is now there. That's what it's going to look like on our mat. As we're using permanent vinyl, we don't need to mirror the image, we're just going to pop it straight on. So then we can go on to continue. The material that I choose is the one that works best for me, is premium vinyl. So I'm going to select premium vinyl. If you're using a new material that you've never used before, it is recommended that you make a little test cut in the corner by selecting a small square or a circle and just using that as your little test cut, just to see how the settings are going to be with the new material. I, however, have used this setting before and I know that this one works really well for me. And then to get the best cut, I'm just going to change the pressure to more. So we're going to take our self-adhesive vinyl, and we just need to press it down firmly onto our standard grip mat. I'm going to open the maker, and to load the mat into it, all we're going to do is press on the flashing arrow key, and that's going to load our mat. As we've already selected the material that we're going to use and the pressure setting, we now need to press the flashing cricut button and the cut will begin. Now that our design has finished cutting, we need to press the flashing arrow key and that will eject our mat. The best tip I have for removing vinyl from a mat without it curling is actually to flip it over and to remove the mat from the vinyl. So we're just going to peel away the mat, and this should prevent our vinyl from curling. Like so. What we need to do now is we need to cut off any excess vinyl that we're not going to use, as this is going to save both time and vinyl that can be used for another project in the future. Going to snip as closely as we can around the edge of the design. All we're left with now is the design that needs weeding. Normally, when you weed away excess material, it leaves you behind the design that you're going to use to put on the front of your project. Because we're going to turn this vinyl into a type of stencil, we need to reverse weed it. So we need to weed away the parts of the design that we would normally leave behind. It all sounds a bit confusing and a bit tricky, but once you get going, it's really quite straightforward. So we're going to take our weeding tool and we're just going to start by weeding away at the letters and leaving bits that would normally be weeded away. Like so. I'm going to get on and I'm going to weed this whole design, and I will see you back here again when it's all completed. Now that our design is fully weeded, we're now going to take our transfer tape and we're going to transfer the design onto the tape so that we can then transfer our design onto our chopping board. So we're now going to take our cricut transfer tape and we're just going to trim off a piece that's going to be big enough to transfer our design. Now we need to peel off the front of the transfer tape and we're going to attach this onto our design and burnish it so it's all stuck on securely. We need to burnish this on really well, making sure that all the little pieces transfer over. When you are happy that it's been burnished enough, we're just going to flip it over and we're going to remove the backing paper from our design, making sure that all the little intricate pieces stay onto the transfer tape. And as you can see there, 2 little pieces have just popped up, so we're just going to go back and just rub them down, and then they're stuck on nicely. Now that that's all transferred over onto our tape, we now need to take our chopping board and we're going to measure to make sure that the placement of our design goes quite central to the board. We need to be careful with it as we do this, because we don't want our design to start transferring down too soon, just in case we do need to alter it a little bit. Now that I'm happy with the placement of my design, I'm going to burnish it really well onto my wood board, because when I come to put the paste on, I don't want the paste to be able to seep underneath the vinyl. I need the vinyl to be stuck down really well. When you're happy that it's stuck down well enough, we need to go ahead and we need to remove all the transfer tape really carefully. I find that the best way to do this is to keep the transfer tape as low to the design as possible and remove it quite slowly. If there's any little pieces, like that little part of the A that doesn't stick down, then we just need to give it another little rub and then that will be sorted. Now that that's all removed, you are able to save your piece of transfer tape for another project by sticking it back onto the backing paper. Now our design's on our board, but you can just give it another little rub to make sure there's no air bubbles in it and to make sure that it's all stuck down really well. Next, we need to set that aside, because now we're going to make our solution that's going to make the paste that we're going to paste onto the board. So now we need to take our bowl and our food thickener and our ammonium chloride. What we're going to do is we're going to carefully open the ammonium chloride and we're going to use 1 tablespoon of the ammonium chloride, and we're going to pop that into our bowl first. Ammonium chloride is food safe, so it is going to be okay on these boards. It's actually normally found as an ingredient in licorice. We're now going to take our food thickener and we're now going to add 8 teaspoons into the tub with the ammonium chloride in it. Now that that's all in there, we just need to take our half a cup of water and we're going to add that in as well. We're going to take our paintbrush and we're going to mix it all together. It doesn't take very long to mix together, just a couple of minutes, and we're looking for it making quite a thick, gloopy mixture. As you can see, this has made quite a lot of the mixture, so you are able to store this in a container if you wish for future projects. I think you can keep it for up to about a week. However, if you did want to make less, you could just halve the quantity that we've used in the first place. What we need to do now is we need to take our board back and we're going to apply a really thin layer of the mixture onto the board. We only want it to be a thin layer because the more we put on, the more we've got to burn off. So we're going to take some of our mixture and we're just going to brush it off at the side, and then we're going to start pasting all over our design. Like so. You can paste in all different directions because we need to make sure that all our design is nicely covered. And we've got into all the little gaps and every single piece of it is covered over. Now we've totally covered our design in the ammonium chloride paste, we now need to leave our design to dry completely. This can take around half an hour. Now our design's all ready, we're now going to slowly remove the vinyl from the board, and we've just got a weeding tool handy just in case there's any little bits that need removing that have got left behind once the majority of the vinyl's been took off. We're just going to remove this slowly. And as you can see, there's already little bits left behind, but we can go along at the end and just remove those. And you should be able to see now there's a coating of paste that's left on the board, and that's the part that we're going to burn off. Now all the vinyl's been removed from our board. What we need to do now is we need to take our board into a well ventilated room, or preferably outside if you can. We're going to use a heat gun and we're going to start burning away all the ammonium chloride that we've pasted onto it, and that's going to give us our wood burning effect onto our board. Now we're outside in our well ventilated space. I've got my heat gun ready and I'm going to set the temperature to be 495 degrees, and then I'm going to heat the board and I'm going to constantly keep my heat gun moving at all times. This does take quite a while, so be patient. It can take about 20 odd minutes before you start seeing any colour changes. The darker you want the image, the closer you need the gun to be to the board, but you can choose whether you just want it to look a lighter brown or if you want some parts to be darker. And now we have our completed Easter board project using ammonium chloride and a heat gun. Once I'd finished heating it outside, all I did was just wipe off any excess paste with a damp cloth, and now it's ready to go. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will look forward to seeing you on my next one. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye for now.